Welcome to Love to See It, a podcast about sneaky men who sneaky link.
And women who desperately need to raise the bar on what they expect from men they date.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
bleak out there.
That's what we're always talking about, right? But today we're talking about Netflix's latest dating show offering, Sneaky Links Dating After Dark.
We have so many thoughts and feelings. Many of them not positive, but I think we'll have fun discussing it. We're also going to get a little bit into what we know about our original Islanders for season 7 of Love Island USA, because that is right. We are covering Love Island USA on Love to See It for the first time. I'm so excited.
Yay, this summer is going to be so intense and full
It really is.
of
But
reality
full
television.
of delicious drama.
Yeah. A little housekeeping before we start. We just covered the end of the season of Summer House, specifically a lot of discussion of Jesse Solomon and Lexi Wood's relationship and breakup on Summer House. We just covered that over on Rich Tech. You can find that at claireandemma.substack.com.
Okay, let's get into it, Claire. First up, a little Love Island preview just to whet our appetites for what's to come. Peacock announced the original cast. The show premieres in just a few days, but as we know, the turnaround time on Love Island is absolutely insane. I truly bow down to
I think
the whole production team.
It happens so fast. I should say, I think the day that this podcast comes out is actually the day that the show premieres.
Oh, right. Yes, we are taping this a little early. So you're right. You're right. I mean, they're so fast. So we are so excited to watch the premiere, and we will be doing a little Welcome to Love Island USA episode, and then we'll be covering Love Island weekly from there on out.
Yeah,
but
we're going to be recapping blow by blow every detail of everything that happens. 5 episodes a week, right, Emma? You're going to give me free reign with those notes.
Yes, Claire's going to have 45 pages of notes on Love Island.
We're going to condense it a little bit. We're going to take a different approach, and this is not our usual format. We usually don't cover 5 hours of TV at a time every week, so we're gonna be experimenting with our approach, but
we're gonna have fun.
We're gonna
have a lot of fun. But this week that we are taping it, in the last few days, the Islanders, the cast was announced, and I was reading just people's coverage of it, and Vulture pointed out that this show seems oddly allergic to casting people from the northern half of the U.S. They're Southern California and Florida only, basically. And I'm is that, do we think that's because they just want people who are just naturally comfortable with being in a bikini 90% of the time?
Yeah, none of those in New York, as far as I can tell.
They're they don't know how to hack that. They have to wear sweaters.
I do see someone from Michigan right off the bat,
there is one Michigander. Last season, there was one woman, Kaylor, from Pennsylvania. Just one. And that Michigander does live in Florida. So
maybe it's just that the kind of people who want to be in a bikini all the time choose to no longer live in the northern half of the country.
You know what? You're right.
Yeah, they're I clearly need to fulfill my destiny by moving to Jupiter or Orlando or LA, where it will be comfortable climate-wise for me to live as my true self, someone wearing a bikini.
You know what? That's
time.
So real. And my truest self is dressing for fall. So different strokes for different folks.
That's why we should go on Farmer Wants a Wife. And it's Christian Girl Autumn all the time on Farmer Wants a Wife.
Yeah, that's really the show for us.
And all of our prospects are Trump supporters. But aside from that,
it'd be a great fit for us. Let's just run down this cast. First up, we have Ace Green from Los Angeles, California. He's already a major TikTok star. Over 1 million followers on TikTok. About just under 800,000 on Instagram.
Oh,
so
wow.
This man, he's already made his mark on the internet.
Yeah. No, I'm seeing his Instagram presence is very manicured, almost he's a computer generated model, just very, very manicured content, clearly professional.
Yeah, no, he's a professional. He's been on the Jennifer Hudson show. So
yeah, He doesn't need Love Island. Love Island needs him.
Exactly. Next up, we have our Michigander, our lone northerner, Austin Shepherd from Michigan. He does, as I said, now live in Florida, but they are really, they're like, look, we did it. A Midwesterner. Apparently, he is deeply, deeply, deeply problematic, according to Storytime with Ricky. People have surfaced some very not great posts and reposts that he's made about Black women. It's very clear that he is very MAGA. It's just a lot of not good stuff. There are also some less confirmed rumors swirling about him from people that like allegedly went to high school with him, but nothing has been confirmed, so I don't think we should go into that. But what is clear is that he is not great. And Love Island's audience tends to be quite progressive. So people are already like, how do we get this guy voted out?
Yeah.
Which, you know what? I love this energy. We're going to save our country with Love Island.
We are. We have to re-stigmatize MAGA, push the influencers back in the closet.
Exactly.
I also learned through trying to Google his name that there is a kind of dog called the Austin Shepherd, which made my Google a little bit confusing. But always be suspicious of Michigan men who want to move to Florida. Like, what's going on there?
Exactly. Sus. Automatically sus. Bella.
Bell hyphen
Bell hyphen is a model. Obviously, 90% of them are models, and she's from Honolulu, Hawaii.
I so badly want to call her Belle A. Are we sure it's not? It's not Belle A. It's literally just Belle hyphen the letter A.
Claire, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, well, I love it. I love a unique name.
Oh, no. I just saw that Austin's Instagram handle is the number 2 fast letter N furious. I hate him already. Look, it's fine.
That seems like the least problematic thing about this man.
It is. It's absolutely the least problematic thing about him. So, I don't know. Bella seems lovely. And she's beautiful because she's literally a model, like most of these people. Next up, I don't know how you pronounce her name, Shelly or Chelly.
My guess would be Shelly.
My guess would be Shelly too, but you never know. I'm sure we will learn soon. She's from Orlando, Florida, and she is very into astrology. Like in the little promo video, she's like, I don't like judge people based off their sign, but like I judge people based off their sign.
Oh God, don't let her find out I'm a Gemini.
She'll never be your friend. Apparently, the tea on her is that she and Ace may already know each other. They are at least following each other on Instagram already and have shared liked some posts. So it's unclear if they actually know each other or if they're just two hot people who followed each other on Instagram.
Yeah, there's a whole like social world of hot people that I just simply don't understand. Huda Mustafa is from Raleigh, North Carolina, and she's a fitness influencer and coach.
According to Storytime with Ricky, she is also a single mom. So we'll see how that gets brought into her storyline. There tend to not be a lot of parents on the show just because it skews very young. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out.
Then we have Jeremiah Brown from LA, another model, and has apparently some links in the reality TV world already.
Yes. Apparently right before he went on, he was like hanging out with Amaya from Temptation Island.
Interesting.
Yeah. It seems like they had only gone on a few dates, and obviously he wouldn't be able to tell her that he was going on Love Island because NDAs. So I don't think this is the biggest deal.
Again, these hot people all know each other. Next, we have Nicholas Van Steenberg from Jacksonville, Florida. Another model.
Obviously. Another model. Just for something new.
Yeah, just to shake things up a little bit. And Alondria Carthen from Decatur, Alabama. also a model.
Diversity.
I've been listening to like some of the old Bachelor in retrospect recaps of early Bachelor seasons, and there's so many pharmaceutical reps.
It used to be all pharmaceutical reps and dental hygienists.
And they just came up with a much more efficient way for the hottest like slice of 20 somethings to just be handed money for being hot. They're just like, there's so many ways to be a model now. There are so many ways to be like an influencer or
True.
like a semi-celebrity like fitness instructor or something where you can just like directly monetize being hot. You don't have to try to sell drugs to doctors anymore.
You can just be hot.
You can just be hot.
I'm so happy for all of them. So yeah, those two more models. We also have Taylor Williams from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. He also is some sort of model because he was like on the cover of Wonderland magazine modeling for Louis Vuitton. So that's like some real modeling.
Yeah, that's legit. And then we have our last Islander, Yulissa Escobar from Miami, Florida, a luxury real estate girl boss.
And our other token MAGA person. So,
I mean,
again, Love Island fans are pissed about her too. So hopefully she'll be gone soon. I think that's justice. I need to take the wins where we can.
It's going to be really interesting. I've never watched a Love Island show while it was airing. I did watch a good chunk of the first ever season of Love Island UK, like much later on Hulu or whatever on streaming. I've never like interacted in a dating show's voting system. I've never like interacted with the show while the voting was ongoing. And it's like, it's a very different model. I'm kind of intrigued to see how it plays out week by week.
It's fun. I wasn't sure how I would feel about it, but I got pretty into it when I watched last season. I did towards like the back half of the season.
Wow.
Because there were some couples that I really wanted to stay in. Mm. And then I wanted to vote on who won. And it's very interesting because it's like the only way outside of a few challenges, if production decides to like read out like a tweet or a TikTok comment or something, it's the only way that people who are on the show can gauge public perception of them as the show is moving forward. So sometimes you'll see like a couple who thinks that they are like the golden couple and the most beloved, and then they will not be one of the top voted, and you'll see it like shift the way that they operate a little bit. So
right, it's interesting. It really must make you just kind of go nut. Like I would be so in my head, like you don't know what people are reacting to that's turning them off about you. Like how do you, I mean, it is sort of like what we do also, where I'm just like, if we're not getting certain results professionally, I'm just like, what are people perceiving? How can I like shift my presentation of self? But on such a huge scale, like you're reacting to the result, but you don't know what is motivating people to have that reaction.
Yeah, and it can cut both ways, as I've talked about with like Leah, the breakout star of last season. Like she and Miguel kept getting voted higher than she anticipated, and she was confused. So yeah, it's very interesting, and I am excited to really like lock in on this season because last season I was pretty locked in, but I was definitely a more casual observer as the season started. This time, all in. I'm ready.
It's not just a pastime, it's a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle.
It's a profession. We're going to be locked in. On that note, should we take a quick break? And when we get back, we will talk about sneaky links dating after dark.
Can you keep up?
And we are back, and it's time to talk about Netflix's latest dating show offering, Sneaky Links Dating After Dark, a 10-episode reality dating show hosted by Chloe Veitch, alongside relationship expert Spicy Mari.
Chloe getting that minor dating show hosting gig, like all the top too hot to handle hotties.
I know. It's always, there is something so funny about, like, they have to pair her with a dating expert because Chloe is just like the same age as all of the people on the show, and also as messy dating wise as all of the people on this show.
Right. Yeah. That is always the funny thing about when they have one of them host. It's like clearly not to be an example. It's not like the Chris Harrison, like, I'm a happily married man.
Right.
Like, she's just more famous and more well established than them. I love the name of the show. It's sort of like a true TV documentary about some sort of weird crime. You know, like it's got the title of a true crime documentary rather than a traditional dating show. It's got the colon. There's something a little kind of almost spooky about the dating after dark thing. Like nothing good happens after 10 p.m. Like it doesn't convey what the show is.
Because they're trying to do something that kind of doesn't pan out, where they're like, the defining factor about all of these people is that they're doing naughty things after dark and hiding their hookups away. And we have to bring them out into the light. And that like sort of happens, but the impact is very low.
Yeah, like it definitely seems like it's going to be a more lurid, like sort of investigation style show. Just that colon really trips me up. I've never seen a dating show with a
I think
colon
we didn't
like
need
that.
it. I think we didn't need the colon.
I wonder if it's because there was a movie that came out a couple years ago called Sneaky Links. Not like a big, I mean, I'd never heard of it before, but when I Googled Sneaky Links, this other thing came up. So maybe they were trying to differentiate it. But again, the effect was just to make it seem like a kind of something you stumble across late at night on a true crime channel or something. So basically, in fact, it's a pretty standard issue Netflix dating show in a lot of ways. You've got 12 hot singles. They're checking into a luxury motel, expecting to finally get serious about looking for love after a stint of having casual flings, only to realize, to their chagrin, that one of the fellow guests is one of their past sneaky links or like secret hookup, secret situationships. This is how Emma and I got familiar with the term sneaky links because we are not in with the like hip new lingo anymore.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
New lingo.
The hip new lingo
We're
that the
old
kids
now.
are saying.
Well, I just assumed that it was like an exclusively British slang term or something, but then you educated me and you said like, no, this has been around for a while.
I
I'm like,
did some
Did
Googling.
American kids use this?
I mean, they all seem pretty comfortable with the terminology. I
Maybe,
found
yeah.
American sources discussing
mean,
it.
Yeah, I just wasn't aware.
Yeah, so I think it's a
Everyone
thing.
I know
only knew
says
it.
situationship, but to be fair, I'm almost 40. So there it is.
Well, maybe they aren't telling you about their sneaky links because they're sneaky.
They're like, I have these situationships that I'm
Right.
happy to discuss, but
Right. I have a very public situationship. I'm not going to tell you about my sneaky links. I only
it's
knew
funny
about it
because
from that
half of
TikTok
them-
that everyone was obsessed with for a while, with all the women doing the like da 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 little chant, and like one of the women's little things was new Frank Green and a sneaky link, and that's when I found out what a sneaky link was. But
Oh, I
thought
don't
maybe it
think
was an
that
Australian thing
registered.
because they were like women who worked at like an Australian skincare company. I think I thought it was like across the pond slang, but yeah.
yeah, I thought it was Australian / British. But
this is
you
how
know,
we
we're
stay
getting-
young. We keep our finger on the pulse. We watch Netflix dating shows and they educate us. Oh yeah. So Sneaky Links is intended, I think, to like address the pitfalls and drama of modern dating in this very direct way. It's like situationship fix it room, or like it's situationship boot camp. It's like you have this problem that modern daters have where you can't commit. You're always 1 foot in, 1 foot out, looking for the next best thing. We're going to cure you with our therapeutic approach.
Spoiler alert, they are not cured.
Mostly no. And also, like, the show doesn't really seem that sure what it means to be cured or what process you take to get there.
No, it has no idea.
Like, the initial idea that I think probably excited the producers of the show is like, oh, we'll bring people there and then they'll have to confront one of their past sneaky links. And normally that's a situation that people deal with by ghosting, or, they just keep doing it occasionally, but they never really explore it. They're not confronting that relationship directly. We're going to make them confront it and they'll have to deal with it. And they should step up and like explore whether this really has potential. But the problem is that none of these relationships have any potential.
And barely any of them even seem interested in exploring. Like there's one relationship where the woman seems like really sad about the fact that her sneaky link doesn't want her. But like, and maybe one where the guy, Logan, wants it to work with his sneaky link. Otherwise, no
Yeah.
one is interested. They're like, yeah, we have a casual sexual relationship for a reason.
Yeah, it's never a mutual interest in deepening things. Otherwise, maybe they would have mutually deepened things in the past. It's actually kind of sad. There is one couple that is not a couple, but they've been friends since high school. 10 years they've been hooking up and friends, and she's clearly kind of in love with him, Samira. And Manny, her sneaky link, is truly just like, this is a hot woman that I get to have sex with when I feel like it. And if I were interested in anything else, I would pursue it, but I'm not. And so what actually that I think they're maybe the only couple to really benefit from being there in that sense, because
True.
Samira has been able to tell herself for years, like, we have something special. He keeps coming back to me. Maybe we have each other in the back of our heads and that's why we can't move on. Sometimes you can romanticize that. And then to be confronted with Manny having this opportunity to explore things with you, and instead he's looking around at every other hot woman in the motel and not paying any attention to you. By the second day, she's like, oh, wow, I did not understand how little he cared about me, and now I do.
So I can move on. And I am happy for Samira that she got that closure.
Definitely. If this show only benefited Samira, at least it did that. I want her to be free of Manny. And then, like, Logan is into Nicole V that he had a fling with a little bit, but mostly Logan just doesn't seem to be present. I keep forgetting he's there. He really...
Logan's just like wandering around half-heartedly being like, you're sexy, and then retreating into the background. This
Right.
is actually another problem with the show, is that the casting, about half of the people they cast, I'm like, I don't retain you. You're not interesting. I'm not compelled by you. I don't care about the outcome of your relationships.
They blend into the background. Like, they could be people that you bring in to fill in a scene that you're trying to film, but they're actually supposed to be active players. I think maybe this is a casting problem akin to when I watched that reality dating show that was sibling pairs.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Do you remember?
Yes.
I don't even remember what it was called. It was really disturbing because they all had to pair up and sleep in beds together in the same shared
Some of
bedroom
them
as
like
their
ended up
siblings.
on Perfect Match, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's mainly what some of these shows are for, is to be like a feeder for Perfect Match, so that the too hot to handle people and the Love is Blind people have
Other people
options. But like, I found that a big problem with that sibling dating show was the casting, because you need to clear the bar of like a certain level of conventional hotness, age, availability, willingness to go on a TV show, and their sibling has to meet all the same criteria. You've really cut down your potential pool of options, right? It's kind of the same thing here. They have to find two people who have hooked up or are hooking up, and they both want to go on the show and they both meet all those other criteria. I feel like it just adds another wrench. Like, even a casting show where you can pick everyone as freely as you please, they don't always nail the casting. And so a show like this with a twist, it sounds fun, but I think usually it makes it kind of impossible to cast really well.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
And so we
There's
end
a
up with
lot.
some
They're
couples where I'm like, I see why you cast them, because one of them is like, Manny is great TV, but Samira clearly is really uncomfortable in the setting. Or Nicole V is really vibrant on camera, but Logan fades into the background.
correct.
Or there's Brandon and Nicole S, both of whom I mostly forgot were there.
Definitely Brandon. Couldn't even care one wink.
Or there's Brandon and Nicole S, I think, who I usually forgot that both of them were there and that they'd ever been associated with each other.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, I fully forgot. He made it all the way to the end. Couldn't care. Couldn't even care about him one tiny bit. Also, I actually feel like most people very quickly, I forgot who their original sneaky link was because their sneaky link became completely irrelevant to their trajectory on the show.
Right. And so that was supposed to be the twist of this show is, oh, they're going to have these histories. It's going to bring up jealousy and confusion. And should they explore this relationship that has this past,
And then
or
you're
give
like,
a
well,
new
but
connection a try?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It turns out none of them want to do anything with their old sneaky link. And so it's all the same drama as usual, which is like, I'm into both of these new women that I just met. How do I juggle them without them getting jealous? Or, oh, I started exploring with this guy, but now a new hot guy has walked in and my head's getting turned. And then the guy I met 4 days ago is now jealous. Like, those are the same jealousy and dramatic tension problems that every dating show has. So it's not distinct in that way at all. It only
And
adds a
then you
layer
have
of confusion.
Right. And then you have the subpar casting. So you
Right.
can't lean on the same dramatic situations that we would get in a better cast dating show and also have like an ineffective twist. It's just,
Yeah.
it doesn't make it compelling. And I do think, honestly, if we weren't covering this show, I would have probably watched a few episodes, found it
Yeah.
moderately enjoyable, and then not gone back to it.
Yeah, I think I probably would have stopped watching after like the second episode.
Yeah, like it
'Cause-
didn't, I don't think it grabbed either of our interests
Yeah. And
outside
also-
of one man who is our mortal enemy.
Yeah. And one of the things too about having the person who's brought in to surprise you not be an ex or something of that nature, but a fling, it kind of even took the tension out of, oh, what kind of respect does this person deserve from you, or what kind of consideration? Because there's like no emotional attachment between almost any of them. So the
Right.
only time that I found myself getting like worked up on someone's behalf was when Manny was blowing off Samira, because the rest of them were all blowing each other off and no one really cared that much. Or they would be like, oh, let's really try to make this work. And they would have very bland conversations. That
And it
didn't
was
go
clear they
anywhere.
weren't into each other.
Right. I think Brandon and Nicole tried to make things work for a little while. And then he made a comment to a group that she was a part of. They were like, oh, fuck, marry, kill these 3 women here. One of them was Nicole. And he said, kill Nicole.
He's like, I thought that was funny.
She did not think it was funny. But see, that's like the top level of tension that we're getting from all of these original Sneaky Link connections. Like, that
So
stood
what you're
out to
saying
me
is
as a
it's not
dramatic
giving.
moment. It's not giving. So the first like half of the show was pretty
Boring.
boring. The format is also a little bit murky. You know, they all check into this hotel. They're all like, oh, surprise, my ex hookup is here. And then Spicy Mari and Chloe kind of lay it out for them that they need to take the time to sort of get to know this person from their past and see if there's actual potential there, because clearly the reason they aren't together is because they never really explored what the possibilities could be. But then they're also supposed to like meet each other and see if there's a better connection with them for them in the motel. And they do this just by like hanging out. Occasionally they are offered dates, but also there is a phone in each of their rooms that they can use to call.
A sexy phone.
It's a sexy phone that I guess they can only use to call the opposite sex singles. We never see like the gals just having a gab fest or something. It's always just like to book a date in someone's hotel room. And so this is supposed to, I think, also perpetuate that like, ooh, sneaky links. Like after they all retire to their rooms and it's dark outside, they can secretly call each other up for a little rendezvous. And it's just like not that interesting,
No.
unfortunately. Like, yeah, they call each other. Sometimes they go have sex with each other, or they make out, or they lay in bed together and talk, but it's just not really TV gold, I would say. So I feel like if I were production watching all of this play out, I would be so bummed. I would be like, this was such a cool concept and it's just not hitting. Like the sneaky links don't care about each other. They're not jealous when the person that they had a fling with is interested in someone new. They all just kind of move on immediately.
Yeah,
Like,
they're just like, well, this is a person I was having casual sex with for a reason. Wish them the best.
yeah, he seems great. We're going to have a distant friendship moving forward.
Or it's like Angelique and Travis, who are just connectors of their friend group. So clearly they hang out, even though they've had casual sex in the past. They're friends.
Right. And now they're being asked to like really consider dating each other. And they're like, no, I don't really think so.
Right.
I kept forgetting that they had originally come
Same.
in as sneaky
Exactly
links. Yeah.
my point.
And another thing that they do to kind of flesh out the sort of therapeutic structure, like they're definitely playing it a little bit like Too Hot to Handle, like we're going to heal you of your dating flaws, is that they have Spicy Mari, the relationship coach, watching them on a screen to monitor their behavior. And sometimes we'll see a couple having a conversation and then it will cut to Spicy Mari like watching the conversation on like an iPad.
It's so funny. She's like on her laptop, like taking notes and nodding, like, yes.
But then
No.
almost nothing ever comes of this. Like I'm always like, oh, now she's going to step in and reward them with a date, or she's going to punish them by sending someone home. But she almost never even references these moments, or she'll reference it in a very like roundabout way, like, oh, it seems like you're having trouble connecting. Do you really think you still want to stay? You do? Okay.
I feel
You
like
can
Lana, the cone Lana on Too Hot to Handle, is such a better therapist.
Lana is tough. Like,
Yeah, Lana watches. She will be watching you, and she will either reward or punish you as a result. And that's
I don't know if that's better in a therapeutic sense, but it's better television.
That's the iron fist I want to see on my reality dating shows that are also pseudo group therapy.
It's just kind of I'm unsure of the dramatic purpose of seeing these cutaways to Spicy Mari monitoring it if she's not really stepping in to do anything, It just sort of starts to seem like B-roll. And then in the evening, sometimes they have link lowdowns. That's when they like gather everyone together for kind of a group check-in with Chloe and Spicy Mari. And sometimes, very, very occasionally, someone gets told to check out of the motel.
Yeah, I kept waiting though. Every time I'm like, so a bunch of these people are going to go home now. And then they just don't.
Until almost the very end. I think two people go home in the first half of the season, and then a big handful of them go home right before the end.
I'm just
and
like,
in the
why
middle,
did
just
Samira
nothing
get forced
happens.
to check out?
Just for her own happiness, because she hated it there, I guess. She's
They
like,
probably did her a
"Actually, I'd love to
favor."
leave."
But it just, again, it makes the structure super confusing. Because you're like, what are
Right.
the stakes of these
And no one knows. The audience doesn't know. The contestants know. They keep saying like, oh, you never know what's going to happen at the link lowdown. And you truly don't. And I don't mean that in a good way. Like anything could happen. It's more like, so are they going to just talk about people they've enjoyed getting to know? And then Spicy Mari will give them all a pat on the head. Are they going to have to commit to a specific person? are they going to get like some sort of evaluation of how they've been doing so far? And then she says, I really mean it this time. You have to try harder. And then sends them all back to the motel. Or is someone going to get sent home? We have no sense of when any of that will happen. It's very baggy. And the result also is that we do have the situation where people keep staying even though I have forgotten they are there. Like we'll have a link lowdown and Spicy Madi will be like, I'm serious. You have to really get out there and start learning and change your ways and make connections. Get back out there. None of you are going home, but I mean it this time. And then we have another episode or two, and I realize that someone is still there who has been involved in almost nothing and isn't making like a ripple on the show as a whole. That's why you actually send people home on these shows. It's like once people are in there, you start seeing this person isn't really playing well on camera. This person isn't getting in the thick of things. They're dead wood from a production standpoint. They're keeping people around that for narrative purposes have been gone for days.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time like Nicole S got sent home, I was like, Nicole S has been here this whole time. I truly forgot.
The whole thing is just a mess, honestly. Yeah. But should we discuss the points of connection and the moments across the season that did stand out to us as notable, dramatic, interesting, worth picking apart?
Yeah, I mean, the main issue that we always come back to with these shows is that the men aren't okay.
You're like, are they okay? Certainly not.
That's always kind of the saving grace of these shows. Like, you do have to hand it to them. I think on like a Bravo show, often the drama comes from the ladies, or on The Bachelor, the drama comes from the women sort of having these very emotionally demonstrative conflicts. But on a lot of these more sort of musical chairs style dating shows,
it's the men.
The men are the messy ones. The men are the ones fucking up.
The men are the ones who don't know what they want. And as a result, treat everyone like shit around them.
And like, don't care. I think that a lot of them don't care to figure out what they want because they're quite happy with.
No, they're like, what I actually want is to have unlimited options, and for whatever hot woman is in front of me that I want the most in this moment to be giving me the affirmation that I require.
Right.
They're like, outside of that, I don't care. And because almost none of them, I think, actually are that interested in a serious, healthy, long-term relationship, what are the stakes for them?
Yeah, the stakes are quite low.
There are a few of the men that I thought were more okay. I think we agreed that Travis, for example, shows up, treats people with respect.
Seems like a sweet guy.
Seems like a nice guy.
He ends up exploring a situation with Zoe, who her sneaky link is the one who gets sent home along with Samira early in the show. Kyle didn't make a ripple at all on the show, but she and Travis begin to explore a connection, and then she also gets to know one of the bombshells who comes in after Kyle and Samira leave. Corinthian is his name. And she handles this, I thought, very respectfully. She's very open with Travis about what she wants to get to know about Corinthian, and he's very respectful of letting her kind of explore that. And they don't like really jump into things in a more full way until she's kind of worked through that. And so they take it at a pace that's very comfortable for both of them. And they end up having like a really cute little relationship that is, for me, like the best relationship of the show. It's the only one that doesn't give me the ick.
100%. And we actually see Travis, once he commits to exploring this relationship, like turning down other dates and drawing boundaries.
Yeah.
Actually giving the relationship a chance. And virtually, like, none of the other men do that.
Yeah. And I mean, Logan is like there, but no one seems to know he's there. He tries to sometimes approach one of the women he thinks is attractive, like his original sneaky link, or he's into Angelique for a while. And it's almost like they don't even notice him for all the impact it has on the narrative. And he'll talk about it in his confessionals for a little while, and then it will quietly go away. It's sort of like, is he real in the world of the show, or are we the only ones who can
figment.
see him? You know what I mean? It's like you look back and you're like, oh my God, he was a ghost the whole time. None of the people in the motel could see Logan. But because of this, it would be very difficult for him to show any super gross behavior, by virtue of not having the opportunity to play any of the women. He seemed nice enough, but like he also just didn't have the
You're like,
opportunity.
he might be
to
a
fair.
dirtbag if given the opportunity.
Yeah, I have to hold out that possibility.
The jury is out.
But it does seem like the reason he was a sneaky link with Nicole is because she was just like, he is just kind of a loser. Like, she's like, I'm ambitious, I'm a hustler, and he just wants to like surf and hang out kind of guy. He just wants to relax and take
And
it
then
easy.
he gets mad at her that she's like, you actually aren't what I'm looking for. And I've been quite clear about that. And he's like, but happiness is all that matters.
Yeah, and she's happy when she's on her grind. And he's happy.
She wants some stability. And she's like, I don't think you have any of that in your life. So that's not going to work for me.
Men find it to be very shallow when you care about things like building a stable life together. But a lot of the men are just demoralizing. And I think first we should talk about Manny before we really go in on Colt.
Our number one enemy. Yeah, Manny is the kind of dirtbag that tries to redeem himself
Yeah.
by the end and like does so semi-successfully.
I think that he is what they envisioned for this show, right?
Yeah,
He
he's
is a
open
player.
to the therapeutic process.
Yes. He messes up, and then he's taught a firm lesson. He's checked in his misbehavior, and he realizes, oh, I can't keep going about things the way that I have been doing in the real world. The main way that people on this show actually learn lessons about sneaky link having is the same way that anyone on any of these shows learns anything about commitment and communication, which is that they can't ghost people after they are done with them. They're all trapped together on set. So like there's no real original twist or method to this show, the way that Too Hot to Handle has a very specific methodology, scientifically unproven though it may be. This one is literally just like they're all trapped in the motel. So Manny starts pursuing Avery and Nicole V almost immediately, and he's telling each of them that he's mostly focused on her and that there's no one else that he's really that interested in, but he just kind of, they're here to get to know everyone.
And these women are not dummies. So fairly
Yeah.
quickly, Nicole V clocks that something is going on between Avery and Manny. And she
Yeah.
goes to Avery, they chat, and they're like, wow, he's telling us the same thing, and that sucks. So they
Yeah.
confront him.
There's literally like a group exercise where Avery has to open up a little bit about what makes her feel jealous. And she's like, when I see Manny talking to other women. And Nicole V is like, that's interesting. It seems like she feels like something is quite serious between them. So they compare notes, and then they confront Manny. And during
And
their
Manny handles
confrontation,
this so bad.
he immediately manages to insult Avery by saying that he's drawn to Nicole because of their intellectual conversations. Now, I only know of Manny what I have seen on this show, but I don't think that I witnessed him having anything that I would call an intellectual conversation.
I don't know, Claire. He's a philosopher. Okay.
I think that sometimes people on these shows use intellectual when they mean emotional or vulnerable. Like he's like, oh, we get quite deep and I'm not doing that with Avery. But what does quite deep mean? Like, it means they're talking about like their goals in life. Is that intellectual? Not really. Are they talking about Kant? Are they talking about the theory of relativity? No, they're just like talking about their feelings more. And so instead of saying, Nicole, we've gotten to know each other more on an emotional basis, and Avery, we've been having more fun, which is kind of value neutral, he manages to frame just the fact that he can have a conversation about feelings as him being on some higher intellectual plane than Avery. And obviously she's very insulted because she's smart enough to clock that
Yeah,
he's
because
calling
that
her
is
dumb.
obviously insulting.
And Nicole V is also not impressed. And
No, she
they're
is
both like,
understandably
I'm out.
really, really put off
Yeah.
by this
And she's
behavior.
like, I think this will be a really great lesson for you. We're done. And they draw this really clear line, and Manny's like, okay, well, I fucked it up with both of them. But the other guys give him some coaching, and they're like, what you've got to do, pick one and just fully go all in on getting her back, like winning her back over, proving that you're really just focused on her. And he does. He goes for Nicole V, and it sort of works in that she forgives him and gives him another chance. But then she's like, now that I've given you another chance, I've realized that I just am not into you.
I was obsessed with this because it kind of
I
comes
love
out of
her.
nowhere. Like they're together. Then it's Link low down. And she's like, I've thought about it and I actually feel no spark with you. So we won't be moving forward.
I think that the gender difference here is interesting to me because it's not that the women all come in as these sort of like, they're just so open and they're perfect at communicating and they've just been let down by men. A lot of them are like, I've been ghosting guys. I've been, dishonest. But when they are given the challenge to kind of communicate directly and clearly, they pretty much all do that right away. It's like, they're like, okay, that's the assignment. Those are kind of the rules that I'm operating within. I can do that. Like Nicole is like, I haven't always been clear with people, but within this show, she is always very clear with everyone, to a fault sometimes. But no one is always perfect. Some of them get very blunt, but it's tough to have those conversations, and she does it without hesitation. I think that's pretty impressive. And then so the fact that the men can't learn, that they don't seem to have the tools to start communicating, stands out.
Yeah, it also feels like they just come in with a set expectation that women will accept the bare minimum from them. Like all of
Exactly.
their coaching of each other is less about figuring out what they actually want and being honest about it, and more about making a choice and manipulating the situation to get the thing they want from that choice.
Yeah. Like, here's what you have to do to get a girl to.
Right. You
Do
have
what
to
you
choose
want.
one. Like, but the implied
Right.
thing is you have to choose one for now.
Right.
Because if you want to go back to someone else, there's probably a way in. And that like bears out for the most part.
Right. It's all marketing. It's all, here's how to seem like you are being genuine this time. Ironically enough, Manny ends up regrouping after Nicole V's rejection and goes for Avery. And she also forgives him. And they end up leaving together. After how this all began, it's hard for me to ever take Manny seriously. But I think that, as I said, he is trying to do the work.
He's the model citizen in a way of the Sneaky
Yes.
Links motel.
Exactly. He's like, I fuck up at the beginning to show that like I need a redemption arc, and then I plug away at that redemption. I'm committing to Avery. I'm asking her deeper questions. I'm starting to say things like, I do think that she has an intellectual side. We can connect on deeper things.
Avery, she's hot and maybe she's not as dumb as a rock. I'm
Yeah.
so proud of myself. But ultimately is sweet. They have like a nice moment where they introduce their moms to each other. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's cute.
Their moms seem very similar. and like the ways that they're very close to their families. There's a lot of similarity there, but not as similar as Avery and Brandon are, which was hysterical to me. For briefly, Avery and Brandon were coupled up before they communicated openly with each other and realized that neither of them were that interested in each other and they both wanted to pursue other people. But Avery and Brandon kept like saying and doing the same things in a way that was almost startling. Like they were so exactly the same person. But most notably, when they do an exercise where they have to paint their partner's soul.
Oh my God.
And they paint the exact same painting. A flower with the sun in the right corner shining down on the flower because it needs to grow. And then the person that they're in a relationship with, each other, their soul is like a beautiful flower that just needs to be nurtured and shined on by the sun to grow. And also, some birds, not to symbolize anything, but just because birds are pretty. They both painted this painting. And then Avery has the absolute gall to be like, I didn't think that his painting of my soul was very meaningful. I don't think he was really listening to me. I was like, Avery, it's the same painting. Like, find the difference between these two pictures. You can't. They are the same.
Also, like, to be fair, you both just painted the most basic doodle image, right?
Well, exactly.
Like,
She's right. It was a really low effort painting, but she made the same low effort painting.
She painted a watering can with the word commitment coming out.
Right. That water of commitment.
Or connection or something.
And the sun of kindness is going to bring out the flower of his soul.
That's depth.
Yeah. Oh, and the painting the painting activity was also incredible because of Colt.
Oh my God.
And Colt's painting of his partner at the time, Angelique, he is the only person to, instead of trying to capture the internal qualities or needs of his partner, to paint her face and to be like, this represents Angelique because she is so beautiful.
Honestly, this is just a PSA for men. Don't ever give your partner a drawing that you made of them. It's not going to go well for you. It's usually very unsettling. I have a dear friend who's shockingly now ex-boyfriend gave her a portrait of herself for her 30th birthday, and it's truly chilling.
It's a little odd because, like, I don't want a portrait of myself.
Well,
like,
no one
I
does.
With
That's
myself.
the truth. No one really wants this unless you're like
an actual
Pablo
artist.
Picasso painted like a cubist interpretation of my face. Sure.
Yeah. It's like, listen, it's a hideous picture of Angelique, who is absolutely stunning. It's so ugly. And he does know that. He's like, this doesn't really capture it. But what really took me aback about it was how completely he missed the assignment without seeming to notice at all that he had missed the assignment. No one else tried to draw the face of their partner. Everyone else was trying to be like, oh, when I'm with him, it feels safe and also exciting. Or when I look at her, I see someone who is kind and who loves the color purple. Some of it's dumb, but they're trying to capture internal qualities. He has been more committed to Angelique and like intimate with her than any other couple at this point in the show. And he is still thinking of her person and her soul primarily as just her face and how hot she looks. And he doesn't even seem to clock that. He's not like, oh, I didn't get the assignment.
And that's because Colt sucks. And I think that he is just very enamored of his own skills. So he's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the challenge to paint an actual portrait.
Yeah.
Like he refers to himself in one of the other challenges as he thinks he's like the best cook. So
oh yeah,
he's really excited to show off those skills. Like I truly think Colt just loves Colt.
He does really love Colt, and he also is very impressed with his cooking skills. But I do genuinely think that he struggles to see women as anything other than bodies and faces. Yes. And so the idea of capturing anything about Angelique other than her physical form is baffling to him. But before we really dig into Colt, I think we should take a quick break. When we get back, we just have so many thoughts about this reality TV personality and everything that he kind of represents about masculinity.
Can you keep up? I like love it.
And we are back, and it's time to talk about my personal newest number one enemy. It's amazing how a new one just happens to pop up like every 2 months.
Just think about like kind of the rough percentage of sociopaths there are in society, and think about how easy it would be for there to be at least one sociopath on every reality dating show you watch. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he is one,
You're
because
just saying it's possible.
not a doctor, allegedly, but I am saying it's possible.
It's always a possibility if you really think about it.
It's always a possibility. They could all be, but specifically Colt could be.
He could be. He's the worst person. And somehow he skates through this entire fucking show and doesn't even face half a consequence for his terrible behavior.
I think one of the things, and like, I am not going to, and I don't want to blame Angelique and later Kelsey for the fact that he skates. But I do think that one of the things that saved Manny and maybe gave him a little bit more genuine sense of growth is that Nicole V and Avery shut his shit down so hard the first time that he messed up, and they
He
set a
was
really clear
humbled.
boundary. And that doesn't mean that he never had a chance with either of them again, but he did learn that there were very clear standards that he was going to have to hold to get back in with them. And then he did, when he had a chance with each of them, hold to those standards from what we can see. Colt gets away with everything. And I don't know why. Like, everyone is really obsessed with how hot he is, including Colt. At one point, I think it was during the painting challenge, he said that his mouth shape is perfect while implying that Angelique's is not perfect, which, I'm sorry, Colt, her mouth is way more beautiful than your mouth.
I agree.
Sorry to be the one to tell you. It's kind of just a normal mouth. Nothing to write home about. Normal face. I guess, like, he has a trendy hairstyle. You know, that hairstyle that's like the hair is all brushed low over the forehead and then up like a brush.
He's just tall.
It's like you're wearing a toupee over your hair and you've like pushed it down
he's
onto your
tall,
forehead.
And he has hair and he has abs.
I think
and
it's the
he's-
abs.
And he
I do think
thinks
it's
he's
funny.
super hot. So he projects like an intense confidence that I think makes women feel really special when he turns the glow onto them.
I do
And
think
then they
that,
realize it's all just emanating off of him and it doesn't matter who's in front of him.
yeah. I do think that it's funny that that you say that he has hair and that's part of it. I think that's our age showing again. Because I think that women in their early 20s kind of expect the men they're dating to have hair.
Yes, but I'm just saying when I was dating in my 20s, they don't all have hair.
Maybe not. Listen, you don't need hair to be desirable, but
No.
it's a tick. It's a tick for a lot of women in the pro column. But like, yeah, I think a lot of it is swag. A lot of it is this extreme overconfidence that he has. I don't really clock that sort of thing. I'm like, past a certain level of fitness, it's no longer a plus for me at all. And that level of fitness is like slightly above dad bod, I guess. But I realized at a certain point in the show that some of the women were genuinely like gripped by how chiseled his abs are. I think that's probably part of it. He's tall. Yeah, he has tattoos.
He's tall. He has abs. Yeah, that's, I guess, about it. I also think that once multiple people are super into someone, their value just skyrockets. Like, this is like a closed room experiment.
Right.
There's only a limited number of people there. So when you start to have women, every time there are a group of bombshells who come in, someone guns for Colt.
They're definitely also clocking his existing connections, being a little possessive over him. And they're like, oh, well, am I going to be
He's high
stopped
value.
by that? Like, this high value man, am I going to be scared off by his jealous, partner? Obviously not. I'm going to see if I can take him. He is a preacher's son, and he makes a really big deal about it.
Oh.
And he makes a big deal about his moral compass and how aligned that is with his Christian faith and his Christian values.
This man was clearly raised in a deeply patriarchal household where he was told that his morals were unimpeachable. His standing in his community was unimpeachable. And the thing that he really needs to be attuned to is whether the women that come his way are good enough to fit into that moral compass. Like, he's constantly evaluating the women for like their morality while being completely unable to look at his own and have any amount of self-reflection on his actions.
Yeah, so often in these like sort of patriarchal, super religious communities, the men are all sort of given the power to be the judges of women's adherence to those values and morals. And his values and morals are kind of expressed through selecting the perfect woman who will express those values and morals, and not through him expressing those values and morals through his own actions. For example, Colt is the biggest fuckboy you've ever seen, right? Like, he wants to find the hottest woman in any given area in his vicinity and come on strong, hook up, take things all the way, and then look around and see who else is out there that he could have that experience with. But when it comes to those women, he is happy to use a moral yardstick for them that is much stricter about purity and chastity than his own.
It's absolutely infuriating.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. I was kind of baffled when he brought up that he was Christian, because he truly doesn't act like someone who was raised by a preacher and like still really identifies with having those values.
Yeah, which is why I think it doesn't come up until like 2/3 of the way into the show, and suddenly he's like, actually, it's so important to me.
It comes up when Angelique is not sufficiently demonstrating those sort of demure, godly values that he requires.
And also, frankly, when he, I think, has already decided that he wants a reason to break up with Angelique.
Right.
Like, to me, Colt's religiosity seems more like a tool he wields when it is convenient for him than like a true backbone of like the way that he lives his life.
I do think that it's possible that Colt is one of these guys who's like, I'm super Christian, I'm super religious, so I'm going to fuck around with as much as I want, but I will only marry someone who is going to have a certain value system, a certain religion, who will align with me in those ways. He doesn't think that it matters that much what someone's religion is if they're just having casual sex, right? But if he's going to commit to them, then...
Right.
Because his parents had a conflict in the home. His mother was Catholic, or as he puts it, not Christian. So we know that he was really hardcore evangelical.
Wait, evangelicals don't think Catholics are Christians?
Oh, that's a big thing.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was weird for me to find out because everyone where I grew up identified as both Catholic and Christian. And then I found out that a lot of evangelicals don't really think that Catholics are Christians and that we like worship idols.
Yeah, I guess
and
the
that sort of thing.
brand of Christianity that I grew up around was Catholicism. So
yeah. No, it's not real Christianity because we worship Mary or something. But fortunately, his mom converted, and that changed everything. And his parents' whole dynamic got so much better. Yeah, pretty dark. His trajectory initially coming in is that his sneaky link is Avery. And they kind of tried to
by
make
the
something
end,
happen.
I had forgotten that Colt had come in with Avery. About halfway through the show, I forgot they even knew each other.
Yeah, they don't interact. Very briefly, he's kind of juggling Avery with Angelique, but then he kind of just drops things with Avery quite quickly, and they never speak again. And he's like coming on really strong with Angelique. There's like a party that they all go to together, and he kind of publicly picks her up and carries her out and makes a big deal out of it to kind of mark her publicly. Like, she's mine. He even says this. He's like, I want to really show everyone that I'm going all in on Angelique.
He also tells the camera, like, I'm going to be a lover boy. I'm really going to date Angelique. Like, I'm
I want
so
everything
committed
with her.
We learn quite quickly that when Colt says things like, I'm committed or I'm a one-woman man, he doesn't mean it. So his words are actually irrelevant.
But we also do know that the picking someone up and carrying them off is like his big move. Like, that's his grand gesture. He does it with Kelsey also. He's like, I'm literally sweeping you off your feet. Aren't you impressed? And they are. But right after he makes this big like move to really commit to Angelique in the motel, a hot 23-year-old blonde named Kelsey comes in and asks him on a
Colt
date.
is 31. Angelique is 29. And he's like, I think to really form a deep and meaningful and long-lasting relationship, I need to date a 23-year-old blonde.
Well, he needs to probably try to date a blue-eyed blonde. He makes that very clear at several points that like she matches up more with the kind of person his life could mesh with. For example, she's
Which is blonde.
Yeah. And he always like kind of saw himself with someone like Kelsey who is blonde. I'm not the one drawing those connections. He is the one who keeps being like,
oh, no.
She's blonde, and therefore I think that we are compatible.
More than one of these men is sit there and like pat themselves on the back for being willing to like sexually engage with women who are not blue-eyed blondes.
Yeah.
They're like,
and
wow,
the amount of like
projecting
a certain kind of like both sexiness, but also marriageability and purity based on the coloring of her hair and eyes it's quite transparent what's going on. Like, he sees her as fitting this sort of moral compass he has where he needs a wife who is sort
blonde.
of pure and chaste in this way because she's blonde. And he goes on this date with Kelsey while he is like supposedly committed to Angelique, and they end up making out so heavily that Zoe and Corinthian, the other two who are on a date, look over and are just like shocked by what they're seeing. They like can't look away. And they come back and they're like, oh my God, Colt and Kelsey were making out so hard during their date.
And poor Angelique, is devastated by this. But Colt does not just make a clean break from Angelique and decide, I'm into Kelsey, even though he clearly has one foot out the door with Angelique after this. But instead, he just like breadcrumbs her and keeps saying he's going to actually commit to her and then doubles back.
Right. The most incredible moment was when the men are all asked to cook for the main person that they're interested in to kind of show care and service and sort of foster that side of themselves to be in a relationship. And he brings out a dish to Angelique so proudly, and she's so happy. She didn't know if he would pick her, and what a bold statement to choose her to be the one to cook for. And then he comes back with another plate for Kelsey. Like, whipping the rug out from under her. Like, don't get too comfortable.
I will say at this point, even all the other men are like, seems like that's a bad move.
Yeah. Also, he gives Angelique something with avocado, which she's allergic to. And so does Logan. She is allergic to avocado, and she's the only one who gets dishes with avocado.
It's just
from
mean.
Both of her men. She's hungry at the end of this challenge.
I was like, get Angelique out of here. Let her out of this hell.
It's so bleak. So he keeps trying to like keep her on the hook. And ultimately he seems to feel like I think that this was his logic. It seems like the Occam's razor. If I dump Angelique for Kelsey now, after I've gotten in so deep with Angelique, she will never consider me again. But I could backburner Kelsey by picking Angelique because Kelsey's a newer connection. She's newer here. She might be more understanding of that. And so can kind of keep both by
what
picking
he wants
Angelique.
to do is keep them both and be able to make eyes and hook up with them both. and then
Yeah.
make a choice when he's ready to make it. And that is
Yeah.
exactly what he does.
And then Kelsey keeps being like, stop looking at me, like giving me this intense eye contact. And he's like, what? I'm not doing that. Of course he is. And then the second round of bombshells comes in. There's 2 women and 2 men who come in toward the end of the season. And one of them, Lulu, is a Playboy bunny. And he hears this, and you can just see
Heart
him
eyes.
light up. He's like, a Playboy bunny. Like, he just like loves a status symbol. He's like,
Yeah, no, women are symbols to him. They are objects. These women
Yeah.
are not full people.
but even more than a Playboy bunny, he obviously wants a blue-eyed blonde.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately,
Lulu
she is
doomed.
not blonde.
And at this point, he's committed to Angelique. He's committed to her at the Link Lowdown. He has said, I'm a one-woman man now. He still agrees to this date with Lulu, which he
It's so
absolutely does
shitty.
not have to do. So Angelique has just been left like confused and unbalanced and anxious. She can't really trust him, but he keeps saying that he's making changes. And so she keeps feeling like she can keep giving things another chance. I really just got very frustrated with Angelique at this point. I was like, you should be the one cutting this off, because he is giving you just enough to hold on to, but he is giving you more than enough reason to cut things off.
Yeah, I felt for her though.
Of course I felt for her, but
Like,
I was
she was
frustrated.
so-
I was frustrated because I felt for her.
I know. You like want her to be the one to just walk away, but you can see how hard that would be because they've like been in this closed community for a while now. And he has like told her all these stories about how they're so good together. And then he pulls away, but like not completely. And then he keeps giving her the dopamine hit of choosing her, but none of it is secure. I mean, it's a very fucked up situation to be put in.
But he is the one who ends things, and he ends it kind of slowly. Like, he is slowly
And he's
stifling
ceding
their
to
relationship
other
to
people.
death.
He's like ceding to other people that he's probably gonna end it with her, and he's gotten the ick.
Yeah, I think kind of the catalyst was this game of spin the bottle with a bottle of whipped cream, and then, whoever the bottle points at after you spin it, you have to like spray a little whipped cream on them and lick it off.
Or you can
guess.
spray whipped cream on yourself and they'll lick it off you.
Yeah.
You get the choice.
Yeah, and so it's like not something I would play, but like classic reality dating show fare.
Yeah, they
and
want
they're
people
playing.
they want all of these people to lick each other.
And guess what? Colt is super excited to be licked. And he ends up getting the bottle spun to him, I think, by Kelsey. And she puts some on his abs and licks it off. And he seems super down with that. And then Angelique spins the bottle toward one of the other men and puts some on her upper thigh. And he licks it off.
And Colt is disgusted by her. He's like, it's very demure when I have a woman lick whipped cream off my abs. When she has a man lick whipped cream off of her upper thigh, she's a whore.
literally.
Like that is the vibe.
I was like, you don't even have to compare apples to oranges here, buddy. It's an
They did
apple
the
and it's
same
an
thing.
identical apple right next to each other. He keeps saying, oh, well, she is the one who chose where to put the whipped cream. I didn't hear you complaining when Kelsey chose to put whipped cream on the abs of a
Also-
guy that she's not in a committed thing with.
Would it have been better? What? He wanted her to like put it on her palm or something? Like what did he
Yeah.
want?
I guess, or like her cheek. And the thing is that Angelique probably did this partly because she was pissed at him because he was flirting with Kelsey while she licked the whipped cream off of him. But he doesn't see it that way. He never has done anything that could piss Angelique off or that she might want to react
No,
to.
she's just being so territorial, and that's just like so annoying for him. It's just
And
so
then also,
hard.
when she does something that makes him feel territorial, that's her being a slut. And it's disgusting.
Correct. And he gets the ick.
And he goes like telling all the guys like, it's a red flag. I'm seeing red flag after red flag. Like, she's not Christian. We don't share the same like moral compass. And then when she had a guy lick her ass, like it was like her thigh basically, when she had a guy like lick her there with the whipped cream, she chose that. Like that gave me the ick.
The way he speaks about her is so despicable. I was screaming at my television.
He does it to her also. He tells her directly, like,
Yeah.
that gave me the ick. I don't think that we have the same morals. I'm seeing more and more things coming up. I'm seeing things from you that make me not want to move forward. Like really making it clear that he thinks that she is immoral, that she's not like pure enough for him in some way, or like chaste enough or respectable enough, that she's not as good of a person as him, that he has concerns about her. He has red flags about her. And poor Angelique looks so confused and hurt and sad, but in a way where she's immediately questioning herself. And she's like, oh my God, I'm really processing this. Like, I thought that we were playing a game and that it was fine, but I'm really sorry if that made you feel a certain way to see. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, I thought we were just playing a game, but I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean to upset you. And that kind of like doesn't do anything. Like, he doesn't care. He doesn't care to communicate with her and reach a resolution about this. He just wants to make her feel like a shitty person.
Oh, no, it's just an excuse for him.
Right.
He's like, here's a thing I can point to. So it's not my fault that we're not together. It's that you're not godly enough. You're not pure enough. You gave me the ick with your slutty behavior.
And she's trying to like take accountability and communicate with someone who is just trying to make her feel dirty and lesser for his own purposes. And only later in her confessional does she start to kind of voice, thankfully, I was really worried actually when her first reaction was to apologize.
I think
she wasn't going to see this, but yeah, I think she was really shocked.
She was really taken aback in the moment. After she has a moment to process, she starts talking very openly about how frustrating it is that Colt has this double standard for his behavior and her behavior. And
like,
she
she's
ultimately
he did
brings
the
that
same
to him.
thing. Yeah, she does tell him that because he again starts being like, they have another conversation because they didn't fully break up here. He's just like, I want to take a step back. Now I get to pursue things with other people as well while I'm taking a step back from you, but we're not closing the book yet. They sit down again for a proper breakup because he's decided that he wants to move forward with Kelsey instead, and tells her again, like, I'm seeing things that make me not want to move forward. I'm seeing so many red flags. Our values and morals aren't aligning. And she's like, I just want to point out that you also had someone lick your abs in that same game, and you don't seem to want to reflect on your own behavior. You just want to point the finger at me. And he gets really pissy and is like, I had someone lick my abs one time. Okay, how many times did Angelique get her thigh licked? Like, what do you mean? Why is that a defense?
Because it's him.
Right, what he means is I should get to do that. It's fine when I do it. It's not fair for you to be mad at me for getting my abs licked one time, but it is totally fair for me to call you trash for getting your thigh licked one time.
He's like, well, I am the moral Christian one. So I inherently project a godliness. How can you come for me?
Well, it's like, it's always the rules for thee and not for me, right?
For me.
It's always like being Christian means that I'm the decider of how other people behave. It doesn't mean that I have to try to embody that in my own behavior. I'm not saying that's how all Christians behave at all, but this is like a certain type of Christian fuckboy that we sometimes see on reality TV, and that I think kind of speaks to a lot of the issues of misogyny in religious settings and in like Christian settings, where when men are positioned as kind of like the moral head of the household, they often do feel like their role is not to embody those Christian values themselves, but to make sure that their wives and daughters reflect those virtues on their behalf.
Well, they're the enforcers.
Right.
Rather than like feeling a moral need to model whatever good values they believe that they hold. They're like, my job is actually to pass judgment on the morals and values of others.
Yeah. I mean, because it all ultimately ends up boiling down for these people to patriarchal control. Like the tenets of Christianity for a certain type of misogynist are just a tool to ensure that the women in their lives behave the way that they want. And he wants a woman who will be slutty with him, but not with other guys. And he wants every woman around him to be willing to be slutty with him. You know, he's not holding himself to a standard because it's all about maintaining his access to as much sex and as much female attention as he wants. And her showing any sort of attention to another guy is threatening to that. And he's using this belief system that he is not observing with his own behavior to enforce that. Like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. That doesn't accord with my Christian values. Well, how does your behavior with Kelsey accord with your Christian values then? It's not relevant. His Christian values are about making sure that women behave the way that he wants them to behave.
Right. And I think what we see is that attitude is just going to carry over into whatever relationship he finds himself in. Because even after he and Angelique ultimately end and things somewhat seem to go smoother with Kelsey, they do, spoiler alert, ultimately leave the motel together. There are some like real gross moments that occur. For me, I really, really lost it when Colt's mom comes and he introduces Kelsey to her. And her response is to tell her son, who is a fuckboy and constantly shirtless, that what he really needs is a girl who embodies modesty. And Kelsey's high neck, like turtleneck knit dress, they are in a very warm environment, is just too slutty for her tastes. And he really needs to think about that.
She is truly like, you should teach whoever you're with to be modest the way I've always been modest.
I was aghast. I was like, Kelsey, fucking run. Every woman in this man's orbit or his family's orbit, run.
That is
like
clearly the worldview that he was raised with. And I thought that the contrast with Manny's mom was actually really striking because they were kind of the two guys who came in and were a little bit more just like inconsiderate fuckboys, like lying to women, screwing them around. And Manny's mom comes in and is just like, you date too many women. It's always another woman. I really want to see you settle down. This woman seems lovely. She's great. I'm so glad you're excited about her. Just one, please. Like, she sees her son as a human who like needs to be held accountable, is flawed, who she wants the best for him. And that means him being his best as well. And then you see Colt's mom come in and her son is just someone who needs to be catered to. He needs to have a partner who will embody the qualities that maybe he needs to imbue those qualities in her, but they need to accord with what he deserves. And there doesn't seem to be any awareness of Colt's many flaws, even through this specific lens of like Christian modesty. And he always calls her Mamacita, like to the camera as well. Like it almost felt like a branding play. I was like,
it's weird.
You're incapable of saying my mom or my mother or anything. It's always Mamacita, third person. And he also sometimes refers to himself as Colt. So that's just his vibe. That's his way.
I just hated him. I'm at a loss for words because of how disgusted I was with the way that this man was able to move in this game that was ultimately framed as if it is like a mechanism for growth. Yeah. And obviously we know that that is bullshit, but to see someone like Colt be able to maneuver fully through, get whatever, extract whatever he wanted from every woman who he wants to extract something from, and then end with like a really positive flourish. Did we talk about how he ends by telling Kelsey that he's in love with her? No. He does that. And then according to Kelsey, immediately breaks up with her when cameras go down. After he just told her he's in love with her. They met like a week ago. I mean, this man is a love bomber. I mean, I think it's also completely cynical because he
also wants the redemption arc for the cameras. He wants
to look good on camera.
Be
That's
the star.
that's his major goal, and I think that is also why he sticks with Angelique as long as he does and tries to find moral failings on her part. He's like, this will play better. It will look bad if I just like ditch the woman I'm committed to for a younger hot blonde. But what if I give it a real chance and then everyone just sees that my values are better than hers?
Yeah, I mean, Colt is such a just like a classic villain on these shows. Like there's so many like him, but I'm still always like blown away that people like this walk amongst us. Like I think that the way that Angelique and Kelsey are drawn to him is not recognizable to me because I can feel that aura and it is so terrifying to me. Like I never came close to a guy like that because I sense evil coming from his aura.
I think that I agree. I also feel the evil energy, and I don't think that I am generally drawn to people who are that obviously dark-sided in their values and energy.
We've all pulled a dud, but like this guy,
no. My thing was like going for guys who were like, I'm so nice, and then they weren't. That was
right.
My
yeah,
grade
exactly.
error.
100%. Yes, we have different types of toxic tastes than Kelsey and Angelique for sure.
And also, I think frankly, I just benefited like. The cults of the world are not into me. So,
yes. I was going to say that
danger.
also. Yeah, I was never endangered by a cult in that sense. But also, like, it was also like a textbook example of how a man can evade consequences by like pitting women against each other, and like what we see with Nicole and Avery and how they're able to go to each other directly and compare notes and trust each other, compared to Angelique, who was already really attached to Colt when Kelsey even arrived, and then Kelsey was immediately a threat to their relationship instead of a person. And like I don't trust her, she's gonna keep flirting with you, she's gonna keep trying to take you away. And then for Kelsey, Angelique is this stereotype of like the possessive, jealous, kind of hysterical woman who is holding Colt back because she's so like irrationally obsessed with him and she won't give him like the human freedom he deserves. They sort of end up blaming each other for the problems in each of their relationships instead of Colt. And so Colt just skates right on through. And that's why we always have to have each other's backs, ladies.
So true. And luckily, I do think that post-show, both Kelsey and Angelique have come to that understanding.
Yeah, they did post an Instagram together saying, turns out we weren't the problem in the caption.
Chef's kiss right there. So true. Also, Kelsey gave an interview to Cosmo where she says that that Colt essentially broke up with her literally immediately after the cameras went down, and that she first got wind that this was coming from another cast member, Brandon, because Colt had said something to Brandon about having to have a, quote, hard conversation after filming Wrapped. And like, Kelsey says that she realized, quote, I was lied to this whole time because there's no way that man actually loves me. There's no way those words are true. He's doing it for the show. So, yeah. Colt
Sometimes
will come
I do
for
think
you.
that these women, like, you get swept up a little bit in the fantasy.
100%.
The tattooed bad boy who's like tall and has abs. He's obsessed with me. It's all going to be perfect. And then, you get outside and you're like, no, he's not. And no, this isn't a thing.
My favorite is that Angelique and Kelsey are posting those joint posts. And meanwhile, Colt is giving interviews being like, yeah, I'm just on like pretty good terms with both of them. And, me and Angelique, sometimes we're still flirtatious. Like, calm down, sir.
Delusional.
Delete yourself.
Honestly,
Delete.
Extremely dark-sided to do what he did in the finale and say he was in love with her on camera and then break up with her even within a few weeks. Even if his story is true.
His story is that it was within a few weeks. Her story is immediate. Either way. And, also he said that the problem was, though they both live in Nashville, they just couldn't see each other enough.
Dark-sided.
He's not okay. Yeah, the evil energy is strong with that one.
I am so unsettled by him. But I'm glad that Kelsey and Angelique are both free. And now we all know that unless you want to be a trad wife to a promiscuous, probably unfaithful, tattooed guy with abs of steel who will never stop telling you that his father is a preacher, you should stay away. This is a little PSA. This whole show is just building to a PSA about cults. Stay away.
About the danger of straight men in our day and age. Ugh. What Kelsey and Angelique really need is Lindsay Hubbard to throw them a freedom dinner.
Yes. If I were Angelique or Kelsey, I would be like, every night is a freedom dinner. Every night I give thanks. I sit down and I give thanks for my food, for this day, that Colt is no longer in my life. We should say before we wrap that they were not the only couple that left together. Manny and Avery left together. Travis and Zoe left together. And there is still some speculation. There's speculation that they are still together.
But no one seems to have confirmed.
I would be surprised. Like, honestly, I would be surprised if any of the relationships from this show stood the test of any time. Manny and Avery, at least, I mean, they seem to have sort of similar visions of life going forward, but it still would be like long distance and like they barely know each other really. Travis and Zoe had this really sweet connection, but she kind of wants to move to Europe and settle down there for the rest of her life. And he's like, honestly, I struggle to be 2 hours away from my family. So I just like kind of don't.
The way that things are going in this country, if you can go to Paris, you probably should.
Take your whole family to Paris. Pick them up
Never
and
look
move.
back.
I would be surprised if they're still together, but it does seem like they are at least still on good terms. They're like friendly back and forth with each other on social, which is good enough for me. I consider that a win.
It definitely is a win. If you didn't leave the show and realize like, oh, I was just put into a torturous situation with a bad man.
A bad man who sort of represents the patriarchal control underlying so much of evangelical Christianity. And its
I just saw that Angelique
chastity.
did a Q&A, and apparently Colt has a new girlfriend. She said, I think he's seeing someone.
For how long?
Who knows?
Week and a half. Well, that's Sneaky Links. Do we think there will be another season?
I don't need another season.
I don't care.
No, the truth is I don't care, and I don't wish to watch. I don't think that this show gave us enough. I wouldn't be mad to see a couple of these people pop up on Perfect Match 3 or 4.
Oh, you know they would want to send Colt and like Kelsey.
Yeah, Angelique would be good.
I would personally love to see Angelique.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple of people I would love to see. Most of them were wallpaper, perfectly nice wallpaper for the most part. But there are a few people I'd like to see. I just don't think the concept worked. I would be sort of surprised if they did it again. Maybe they'd have to retool it in certain ways.
Yeah,
but again,
I think they'd have to rethink it.
It came off as sort of like generic, low budget, Too Hot to Handle.
With none of the charms of Too Hot to Handle. I'm going to forever be a Too Hot to Handle apologist.
A Too Hot to Handle stan. She walks amongst us.
Yeah.
No, I do think that there is a value if you're not going to be like a very sort of like Love Island or The Bachelor, just kind of like this really flexible, open concept that can be sort of like almost the overarching show about dating today, that it's better to have a really sharp twist or angle on it. And this kind of had neither, because it tried to have a sharp angle and it
didn't land.
So that's my thought, but we'll see. Maybe we'll see more Sneaky Links in the future.
It always could have a slow burn, like Farmer Wants a Wife. You never know.
That's true. They could figure it out. They could get their sea legs. They could make some tweaks. But for now, we're going to turn our attention away from Netflix to Peacock
I'm
for
ready.
Love Island. We're so ready.
Ariana Madix back on our screens. I am so excited. Can't wait to meet these Islanders. Can't wait to just like see the audience reaction to everyone. Can't wait for Claire to get into a current season of Love Island.
A hot new bombshell has entered the villa.
And her name Claire Fallon.
She's wearing a tent, which is what I'm wearing right now.
Yeah, you're like, never nudes go on Love Island.
I'm going to start calling my apartment Never Nudes Love Island. Oh, so we'll be back with that later this week. We can't wait. And on that note, that's it for this episode of Love to See It with Emma and Claire.
Love to See It is a presentation of Odyssey. The show is produced by us, Claire Fallon and Emma Gray. This episode was edited by Ren Woods. Our theme music is by Tamar Hafeev, and our art is by Aaron Nestor.
If you like the show, please follow us, rate us 5 stars. It really does help. Leave a review. Definitely helps. And of course, tell all your friends about our show. Tell them that we're covering Love Island. It's new for us this season. We're really excited. Spread the word. Send text messages or, get Ariana Maddox to do it. Whatever works for you.
If you want to get in touch, you can always email us at claireandemmapod@gmail.com.
You can also find us on TikTok at Love to See It Pod and Instagram at Claire and Emma Pod. You can find our newsletter Rich Text on Substack at claireandemma.substack.com.
I'm also on Blue Sky at Emma Gray and on Instagram at Emma Lady Rose.
And I'm at Claire E. Fallon. Special thanks to the team at Odyssey: Eric Donnelly, Aaron Constantino, Kate Rose, Moira Curran, Melissa Wester, Carly Snyder, and Hillary Shupf.
We'll be back later this week with our first ever Love Island USA recap.
Woo!